Welcome back to Fight Capital, where we step into the ring of combat sports business. I'm your host, Ryan Rappaport. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Kevin McShan. Kevin is a passionate multimedia journalist and a motivational speaker whose professional journey encompasses journalism, advocacy, and podcasting. Through his Let's Have This Conversation podcast, Kevin delves into a myriad of topics and draws from his inspiring personal story of triumph over cerebral palsy to spark meaningful discussions and empower listeners around the world. I'm so happy to have you here today, Kevin. How are you and where are you joining from?
Ryan, I'm always grateful to see you, my friend. Thank you for the international invitation today, my friend. As you know, my friend, I live north of the border in Canada, so it's pretty cool to have this international connection. Great to see you this afternoon, and thank you for the invitation, my friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Just to preface this for anyone who's listening, Kevin is not in the combat sports business, but he was a massive influence on me when he had me on his podcast. And this is really what kind of sparked me doing Fight Capital and all of the opportunity and amazing people I've been meeting. So I wanted to have Kevin on here to tell his story and give a little preview into what he does because he's quite the inspirational figure and really thankful for having met him and having him on here today. So before I can speak to you, Kevin, I know you probably tell your story better than anyone else. I'd love for you just to give the audience a little bit of your journey from when you were studying journalism to becoming the multimedia artist and motivational speaker. But can you talk a little bit how that has shaped your life experiences and to your podcasting and storytelling?
Yeah, so thanks for the question, Ryan. I guess my life started really when I was 9 years old, Ryan. I was in a hospital conference room and I had just completed my final surgery for my disability. And for your listeners, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. Simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. But I actually found out in when I was nine, the beginning of my fourth year of elementary school, Ryan, that I wouldn't be able to walk without the assistance of a walker for the duration of my life because of my cerebral palsy. So I um, credit my middle school principal, Dr. Kevin Crowley, for changing my life because the day after I found out that I had to uh, be confined to a wheelchair and a walker for the rest of my life. Dr. Crowley called me into her office and she knew why I was going to London the previous day and she knew what I was going to be told by the doctor. And she looked at me uh, after she called me into her office. She had everyone that was assigned to my file, from teachers to social workers to therapists to my parents were there, and I had gone through the story of what I was told the previous day. And Dr. Crowley looked at me and she said, the only limitations on your life are the artificial ones that you place on yourself from an individual basis. And I didn't know it at the time, but that sparked my interest of getting into journalism and getting into the art of telling stories, because I look at storytelling as giving people a platform, an objective platform to share their stories and experiences. Because Ryan, I truly believe that there is strength and diversity of perspectives. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version. I'm happy to expand if you wish, but that's uh, sort of the starting point of my life for sure.
Hmm. When I joined your podcast, I was in like this really interesting transitional period and just was really impressed how one you conducted the podcast, two the quick turnaround and just the quality of the product that you put out, and it was super inspiring. And I'd love for you, obviously the Let's Have This Conversation podcast covers a wide range of topics from like news to sports to entertainment. What inspired you to create such a diverse platform, and how do you approach maintaining that balanced and engaging content?
Well, I'll give you a story. So, um, the week before I started my podcast, I had left my job at the YMCA because I used to be the ambassador for an inclusive employment project called the Discoverability Network, where I live here in Canada, uh, for the region that I live in. And Louis had called me up, who was my boss, and said, "The guy who took over for you um, is leaving for a government job in Quebec. Do you want your old job back?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." And a week or 2 weeks before I was supposed to sign my contract to go back to the Ontario Chamber, my contract was suspended. So I had some time to reinvent myself. And plus, Ryan, my background is in as a sports reporter. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on originally on my own show. But I also wanted to prove to myself that I could cover more than sports. So I started a podcast originally to challenge my journalism creativity, to be perfectly honest. And 3 years in, we're almost at 800 episodes and over 15,000 minutes of content. So I must be doing something right, right? So,
Yeah, that's quite the portfolio you've been building there. And yeah, it was an honor to be on there. But, one of the things I love about all of that is your story isn't just inspiring because of who you are, but it's also how you're influencing the people around you. And I'd love for you just to share how this experience has kind of affected your perspective on life and how you're turning these challenges into opportunities for your own growth.
whenever I love interviewing people. It's a passion of mine. One person asked me when I graduated college, "Why do you love journalism so much?" And I told them it's like oxygen to me. It's my passion of giving back to the world. And my way of giving back is through inclusion, because I live my life through the prism that inclusion is the gateway to independence. And I truly believe that every person, regardless of socioeconomic background, race, religion, has a story to tell and has has a story to contribute to the rest of the world. One of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast originally, Ryan, is I looked at the world um, when I originally started, and I wanted to create a platform that allowed for open discussion on a variety of different issues, that allows people to consider a different perspective. You don't always have to agree, but as long as the conversation of progress is inching forward, I think I've done my job, and that's the reason I wanted to start this.
Hmm. Your efforts in promoting the employment equality for individuals with disabilities and facilitating those conversations are commendable. I mean, can you elaborate just a little bit on your work with the Discoverability Network project? And I believe the other one was We Are Able project that you've worked on. And can you just talk a little bit about those initiatives?
Yeah, essentially both of those initiatives, and thank you for the question. Both of those initiatives are intended to highlight the benefits of hiring folks with disabilities. I'll take the Discoverability Network first. So, the Discoverability Network is the province of Ontario uh, uh, initiative to hire more folks with disabilities. So it's an online job matching portal. So you go on the website, you create a profile, and you're instantly matched with individuals who have a disability who want to work. And if you are an employee with a disability, you're matched with employers who want to hire um, want to hire you as a person for a job. So when I was a part of the network, I held the job for about 11 months, 13 months. We were able to get at least 70 people either in job placement or an internship, and we connected the network with 15 employers and service providers to help people find work who have a disability. So, and the We Are Able project was funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation, and the idea there was to go out into the community and give community presentations about the positive benefits of hiring folks with disabilities. Through that project, we were able to conduct over 30 community presentations in just over 13 months, and we got a total of 20.
Wow, that's quite a lot to accomplish in a pretty short period of time. I mean, can you just dive a little bit into like the strategies and actions and some of the things that you were doing to kind of get yourself and the programs out there?
Yeah, so when you talk about inclusive employment, Ryan, it always starts with the lack of education, the need for education for employers. For example, I'll give you an example. So when you talk about accommodating someone like me to function properly in a job setting, we did a study at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and it found that 80% 80% of accommodations for folks with disabilities are cost you less than $500, and they elevate um, productivity potential, and it reduces turnover. So it's, we looked at it as creating a competitive advantage for businesses. And the tagline for the project was to seize your opportunity to advance your business. And it's all stemming to uh, challenge businesses to hire folks with disabilities, to diversify the economy and and their perspective on how to do business effectively.
Mm. Well, I mean, you've bring so much to that, right? And the other thing I've really loved is your work as a motivational speaker and going out there and kind of helping people reach their full potential through your experience in life and what you're doing to help other people. Could you just provide some of the insights into the key principles with your audience that you're looking to go out there and tell them to inspire them and help them grow professionally? And how have you witnessed those making a difference in people's lives? Other than me, I guess I'm one of those people. So, but if you have any more examples, that'd be great.
Well, I will give you a most recent example, and then I'll go into uh, the principles around every speech that I give. So I uh, believe that everyone has the chance to maximize their potential. And recently, last week, I gave a speech to a group of uh, uh, people with disabilities who have physical disabilities and brain injury. And when it was over, the senior manager who asked me to come give the speech said if I could bottle you up and use you as morning motivation, I would do that. So I hit the mark, I guess. But I talked to the group about maximizing their potential and not believing that any small contribution they give to life is too small, because no matter how many degrees you have on a wall or how many years you went to school, you can always learn something from someone else. So when I talk to people about leveling up in their own life, right, I give two analogies. And the first is I view life as a deck of playing cards, and that we're all given a deck of playing cards, and we have to sort of stack our life deck of cards in the direction that we want to go. Well, for you, you weren't born with a disability, but I was. So how do I turn that circumstance into a competitive advantage? I always tell people that resilience is the test answer to the test when it comes to adversity. So I use the playing card analogy and example, and I also tell people that we're all given a compass in life, and it's incumbent upon all of us to sort of point our life compass in the direction that we want to go. So that's sort of my mission and vision as a motivational speaker.
I, I am one of those people that have benefited from that and those
Well, I'm happy to
principles.
hear that.
Well, and the principles, you do a really good job of talking about that in your content. And as a follower of your content, man, it just gives me so much. And while you are not in the combat sports business per se, you are a fighter. And the work you do and the way you're helping people is just so important. And it's not trivial for me to say like how much impact you had on me and what I'm doing now. And this is just a one way I can hope to thank you and continue to kind of share your message and everyone that you're helping.
Oh well, that only means I want a portion of your commission checks now every time you get paid. No, I'm kidding, but that's fine.
I love it. Well, Kevin, I'm so thankful for having you join me here today and really looking forward to having people hear more about your story and looking forward to be on your podcast again soon.
Why life is a constant game of networking, and you always have to keep the wheels of opportunity going because you never know who's watching and how you can be of assistance, right? So it's
Mm.
always important to pay it forward because you never know what doors will be open for sure.
I'm 100% there with you. And how can people find out more about you and where would you want people to go to get more information?
It's really, really simple. All you got to go to is the website, which is kevinmcshan.com. All of my content from the podcast and book me to speak is there. If you want to check out the podcast itself, it's wherever you get your podcast, and you can look up Let's Have This Conversation on YouTube, and all my stuff comes up. So it's really, really simple. And I really want to thank you for the privilege of both being on your podcast today and the privilege of your friendship. And I want to thank you for being a long time listener and a first time caller and putting me on the other end of the camera. And the exciting part about this one, Ryan, is I don't have to edit it when it's over, right? Now,
Yeah, well, I wanted to flip the tables on and make you the one who's having to do all the talking. So happy
well,
to do
this
the
is the
editing.
fun part, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure it is. Well, thank you so much again, Kevin. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. You have a great day.
Absolutely. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.